All right, let's dive in. We're here to tackle one of the oldest, most annoying problems in business, processing invoices. But really, this is about something bigger. It's about a fundamental choice that we, as solution engineers, have to make right now. Are you going to bet on an all-in-one platform or go with a super flexible, API-first AI model? The decision you make today is pretty much going to define your entire automation stack for years to come. So, let's get into it.
Anyone who's ever had to build a document processing pipeline, you know this feeling deep in your soul. The sales demo? It's always a perfect, crisp PDF. But the real world? It's a total mess. We're talking coffee stains, crumpled receipts, handwritten notes, and invoices that look like they were photographed in the dark. That's the messy reality our automation has to conquer.
So, here's the game plan. We'll start by talking about just how big this problem is, what we're calling the paper cut problem. Then we'll look at the first failed solutions, the template trap. We'll see how platforms rose up to fix that before diving into the absolute game changer, the AI vision leap. That sets us up for the big 2026 showdown, and we'll finish by looking at what's next, the agentic future that's coming way faster than you think. Okay, first things first. Why does this even matter? Why is this such a huge battleground for automation? Well, because the cost of just sticking with manual data entry, it's just staggering. This right here, this is the hidden tax that absolutely kills efficiency. 15 to 25 bucks for one invoice. Now that might not sound like a lot, but you scale that up for a company handling thousands or tens of thousands of these a month, you're literally talking millions of dollars a year just vanishing into thin air. It's a direct hit to the bottom line. And it's not just about the money, it's about your people. In some companies, almost 40% of a skilled accountant's time is just gone, wasted on this mind-numbing copy and paste work. Just think for a second what they could be doing with that time instead. That's the real cost. And this table just perfectly lays out the prize if we get this right. I mean, look at those numbers. The jump from manual to AI isn't a small step. It's a massive leap. We're talking a cost reduction of almost 90%. Processing time goes from minutes down to seconds. And that straight-through rate, that's the real killer metric. Going from maybe 20% of invoices being processed with no human touch to over 80%, that's the whole ballgame.
So the problem was obvious, and the industry's first attempt to solve it promised automation, but what it really delivered was a whole new kind of nightmare. Welcome to the era of the template trap. This is just the perfect way to describe traditional OCR, right? Eyes, but no brain. It's brilliant at converting pixels on a page into text characters. But it has zero clue what any of it means. It can't tell an invoice number from a fax number unless you hard-code a rule that says, hey, the invoice number is always in this exact box right here. And that, of course, is its fatal flaw, because as soon as a vendor changes their invoice layout even slightly, boom, the template breaks. A table spills onto a second page. The whole thing fails. So for us, the solution engineers, our automation project suddenly becomes this full-time job of just building and fixing these incredibly brittle templates. It just doesn't work in the real world.
So all that pain and frustration, it naturally led to the next step in the evolution. These big, comprehensive platforms that tried to build a brain around those OCR eyes. They wanted to integrate document processing into a much bigger automation ecosystem. And a perfect example here is UiPath's document understanding. The keyword is integration. It's not just about pulling data off a page anymore. It's about immediately feeding that data to an RPA bot, the software robot that does all the clicking and typing. That bot can then check the data, send it for approval, and plug it right into the ERP system. It's a true end-to-end workflow, all in one place. And if you're already living and breathing in the UiPath ecosystem, this is a pretty powerful and logical choice. When you look at user reviews, people love the strong extraction and how easy it is to use. But there's always a trade-off, right? The setup is heavier, it costs more, and sometimes the machine learning can hit a wall when you run into those really nasty edge cases. Which brings us to the new challenger in the ring. This is a fundamentally different way of thinking. It's not about reading text. It's about seeing and understanding the document as a whole, just like a person would. This is where things get really interesting. So the key idea to wrap your head around is zero-shot extraction. And those two words, OCR-free, are absolutely huge. It means we get to skip that whole fragile, error-prone step of turning pixels into text.
Instead, a multimodal foundation model looks directly at the image itself. It understands the layout, the context, the visual cues, and it just pulls out the data you need, even if it has never ever seen that invoice format before. Models like Donut give us a peek under the hood. So first, you feed it the raw image. Then, a vision encoder, think of it as the model's eye, looks at the whole document and creates this incredibly rich mathematical picture of it, called an embedding. From there, a decoder just translates that picture directly into clean, structured JSON. For an engineer, this is beautiful. It's a direct flight from pixel to data, with no brittle middleman to break along the way. And the results? I mean, they speak for themselves. On a standard industry benchmark, this OCR-free zero-shot approach hit 98% accuracy. And get this, that's right out of the box. No templates, no fine-tuning. That just proves the raw, incredible power of this new paradigm. So this is it. This sets up the central conflict, the big decision that every solution engineer is going to be making by 2026. Do you go with the deeply integrated, all-in-one platform? Or do you pick the flexible, super intelligent API-first foundation model? At the end of the day, it's really a philosophical choice. The platform approach, like UiPath, is like buying a fully built car from the dealership. It has everything you need, and it all works together seamlessly. The API-first approach, using something like Claude or GPT-4o, is like buying a world-class engine and then building your own custom hot rod around it. So let's break that down. UiPath's huge strength is that native workflow integration, but it comes with a big investment in their whole platform. Foundation models give you just unbelievable flexibility to handle any weird layout you can imagine, but you need the dev resources to build the workflow around those API calls. And when you get to those really tough edge cases, the coffee-stained, handwritten invoices, well, the vision-first models have a clear, undeniable advantage. And if you want proof, look no further than this chart. Handwriting has always been the Achilles heel of automation. A classic OCR engine like Tesseract has a character error rate over 12%. A state-of-the-art vision model like GPT-4o, it's at 1.69%. That's not just an improvement, that's a whole new category of performance. For those messy, real-world documents, this is an absolute game changer. But listen, this whole story doesn't end with just pulling data off a page. That's just the beginning. The real future here isn't about building a better tool. It's about building a digital colleague. We're talking about a shift from passive extraction to active reasoning. The AI agents of the very near future won't just read the invoice total. They'll understand its context, automatically code it to the right department, match it against a purchase order, flag anything weird for a human to review, and maybe even draft a summary report at the end of the week. It becomes an active teammate. And this isn't science fiction. This is happening right now, and it's happening incredibly fast. We're already seeing adoption jump like crazy. By 2027, that's just around the corner, 80% of companies are expected to have this kind of agentic AI. It's creating this massive multi-trillion-dollar opportunity called agentic commerce, where AIs are literally conducting business for us. So all of this leaves us with one big final thought. That choice we talked about, platforms versus foundation models, it's not just a technical decision for today. It's about laying the architectural foundation for a future where your most productive, most reliable team member might not be human at all. And the real question is the system you're building today ready for that future? Thanks for joining me.